Good afternoon. We have a very interesting session to start now, just after lunch. Well, there is a strange connection between lunch and this session. The connection is more than physical. You just had lunch and you might feel like sleeping, and every sleep has a lot of dreams. And this session has a lot of dreams. So we have a lot of dreamers like me. And I'll give you a dream of what is called the e-governance grid of India. The last session we talked about the swans, and the question was, what after swans? So nobody was able to tell exactly what will happen after swans. She said it's already there with her, but she's not there. Where is that? You ask her. She said she already has. When you have all the swans operational in the country, which is not very far away from today, then we need to do something about integrating them and something about getting a total grid into place. It's not just that one state is independent of the other. Much of the information which we talk about in the modern times is quite distributed. It is distributed across the country, across the states and districts, even up to villages. So, the dream which I am going to show to you today, which is not a complete dream, but it could be realized after some time, is a direction towards the e-governance grid for India. After my perspective plan, we will go ahead with the details of standards and interoperability by the various speakers, I will call them. So the National E-Governance Plan proposes citizen service delivery up to village level, and it is supposed to be delivered to 100,000 kiosks. And that is possible only if you have what is called the web services based on the service-oriented architecture. This is what everybody knows and everybody says. And this requires extensive computing and network infrastructure and resources to meet the requirements of the NEGAP. And coming to the paradigm of grid computing, the objective of grid computing was to share resources to minimize the cost by optimizing the utilization of the resources. And it uses the same concept as a power grid. You don't know from where the power in this room is coming, but you're using the power up to whatever extent you want, ubiquitously. So a grid is a parallel distributed system that enables sharing, selection, aggregation of geographically distributed autonomous resources. And those resources could be PCs, workstations, clusters, because most of the computers in this world are not utilized even 10% of their capacity, as most of the human brains are also not utilized to the 10% of their capacity. And to use other resources like databases, software from a remote node, remote location is possible. And there are computational grids which can share CPU cycles like NASA's IPG Terra grid of universities, which also do data replication management. And we have the Large Hadron Collider grid in CERN in Switzerland, which has some petabytes of data distributed to 46 countries, and data is being processed on the grid. And we have a lot of other applications like application services, information services. And according to Gartner, all computing will become grid computing, whether you like it or not, in the next decade or if not even earlier, because nobody wants to waste resources. In a country like India, we have a natural hierarchy for the proposed e-governance grid, because we have the central government, the state government, and the district government. So I proposed an architecture where the web service repositories can be launched and operationalized in the same three levels. I'll go into the details. Coming to the technology perspective and architecture perspective, there was a situation a few years ago that the service-oriented architecture, on which all the vendors have been talking about, was being accepted as a de facto standard for all services delivery on one side, and then the grid technology on the other side. Both were independent. But today it's not the case. After the definition of the OGSS standard, Open Grid Service Architecture, by the Global Grid Forum, which is supported by all the vendors like IBM, Microsoft, and so on, it integrates the conventional computing features as resource allocation, monitoring, mirroring, etc., with service-oriented architecture. That is, conventional grid computing is integrated with service-oriented architecture, SOA, that gives OGSA, Open Grid Service Architecture. It also supports Web Services Reference Framework, which can support stateful web services in addition to stateless web services, which are normal in SOA. And stateful web service will be useful when you have complex transactions which require the memory of the past call of the web service. Otherwise, most of the web service architectures proposed by Sun or IBM or Microsoft are only stateless. Open source, once again, a popular successful middleware software is called Globus Toolkit, which has been sponsored by the Global Grid Forum. And the latest version, GT4, offers OGSA compliance, that is, it integrates service-oriented architecture, web services, along with the grid. Supports the web services in Java, C or Python. It has various modules, about 17 modules, like grid resource allocation monitoring, grid file transfers, and monitoring, replication, mirroring, authentication, authorization through PKI. And in NIC, after receiving necessary approval and encouragement from the top level, we have initiated this project. I am spearheading this dream. We have installed and tested for the functionality in various centers like Hyderabad and Delhi, and we are doing it in other states also. This GT4, which can be freely downloaded. And with this, I am proposing the architecture of an e-governance grid of India. To implement NIGAP, and SAN data centers and SPANs have to be integrated in all the states as part of the NICNet or independent of NICNet, outside the NICNet, like individual state governments. Today, they are individually connected in some cases, like in NIC, but there is no concept of grid computing. In many cases, like the individual state data centers and SPANs, there is no connection also. They are independently operating without any resource sharing or even without replica or mirroring or disaster recovery, except for Delhi, we have a disaster recovery center at Hyderabad. And we are proposing disaster recovery for Gujarat and Rajasthan also in Hyderabad and maybe all states. So by implementation of grid technology, disaster recovery provision will become very easy. Otherwise, for 35 states, you need 35 disaster recovery centers. It's going to be very difficult. So grid technology will provide you end-to-end kind of a resource mapping and utilization, and this will result in the better overall productivity improvement in addition to obtaining all the benefits of grid computing. Any organization for that matter, any government or the hardcore government or central government, state government would not like to waste its resources. Because in some spots the resources are overutilized and some other spots they are underutilized. So the mission mode projects of, as you know, of National E-Governance Plan of the central government are the Income Tax, Company Affairs, Passport, Insurance, Citizens Database, Central Excise, Pensions and Banking. And for the state level, it is land records, road transport, property registration, agriculture, treasuries, municipalities, gram panchayats, commercial taxes, police, employment exchange. And the software development and implementation of all mission mode projects all over the country is either completed or in progress, depending on the case of the progress. All the application software after development has to be implemented. It has to be converted to SOA because that's the latest technology standard. We don't have to break our heads about the old technology standards like Corba, DCOM, RMI, or even gateways. They are all quite dated today, and SOA is the current technology in terms of technology evolution. So I'll quickly pass through what is a web service. I hope you all know what's a web service. It's a collection of functions that are packaged as a single entity and published to network for use by any other program. And web services are building blocks for creating open distributed systems, allow organizations and individuals to quickly, cheaply make their digital assets available. And there are many examples like MS Passport, a credit checking service. I'll quickly pass through this. And why web services? There are a lot of friends of mine who keep talking of the old technologies like COM, DCOM or Corba and gateways, but all those will not be able to stand the kind of pressure which we are going to get in the future with the thousands of web services coming in. So if any web service can interact with any other web service in a loosely coupled interoperability mode, because the invocation will be through SOAP, and the agonies of Corba and DCOM, etc. would be overcome. And any program can be converted to web service written in any language, and they need not change their development environments. All that they require is to convert it into WSDL, the definition of that service, and SOAP invocation and data will be transmitted in XML between services, whatever be the DBMS, whatever be the format in which data is stored. So ubiquity is one great attraction for web services, and all the earlier technology components like COM components, Java beans will also be easily exposed to web services because they believe in loose